All right, let's go ahead and move on to 8.1. First things first, up here at the top, please make sure that you write your name so that I know who to give the points to when you turn in this assignment today. Hopefully. All right, so we're going to be talking about something we've actually talked about before, and it might seem a little bit repetitive because it's something that you really need to know. So it is called unit rates. A rate is a comparison of two quantities. Quantities. And a quantity is just basically like two different numbers. So for example, you could write a ratio of 3 to 4, or 3:4, or 3/4. These are all the same ratio. A unit rate is a rate with a denominator equal to 1. So it's called a unit rate because it is how much each unit is worth. In the example we have up top, 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. You just divide it in a calculator, which is what we're going to talk about in the next section. So to change any rate to a unit rate, which by the way is the most useful form of a rate because it's as simple as it can get. To change any rate to a unit rate, you simply just divide the numerator by the denominator. Just make sure that the one that you are dividing by is the one on the bottom. If you are trying to add units to your unit rate, you need to keep the units in the same order that they're given to you in, except for money. If you see any problem that involves money, we should always put it on top, because for money, we always want dollars per item, because we want to know how much each item costs, not how many items we can buy with $1. Because we buy things by the number of items, not by the number of dollars. Okay. And then one note at the bottom is when writing rates, use the fraction symbol or the slash. It is read as the word per. So if you find out that something costs $5, that's $5 per item. For example, on this first one, we have 816 calories in 12 servings. So the 12 servings is going to go on the bottom of our fraction, meaning that we need to do 816 divided by 12 in a calculator, and that's 68. The reason why I said that fraction bar means the word per is because that's 68 calories per serving. So then we know exactly how many calories we have in one serving, which makes it easier to find like 2 servings or 3 servings or 4 servings. Let's try another one. 225 Skittles in 4 bags. So the 4 bags is going to go on the bottom. And before I even divide this, I'm going to actually write my units first. This is going to tell me how many Skittles there are per bag. So 225 divided by 4. 56.25. And I know some of you are like, how do you have a fourth of a Skittle? That's because not every bag of Skittle has the same number. So maybe some of them have 56, but some of them have 57. So the average is just a little more than 56 per bag. Okay, let's try number 3. 30 math problems in 24 minutes. This would be an example of, let's say I gave you an assignment with 30 math problems and you solved it in 24 minutes. What that means is 30 over 24 minutes. 30 divided by 24 is 1.25, or 1.25 problems per minute. So you solved a little more than one problem per minute. Now, this is one you could also do backwards, and you could find out how many minutes per problem it took you to solve. That's one that you could technically do either way if you wanted to. Okay? Number 4 says 5 inches of rain in 3 days. So we're going to divide by the 3 days. 5 divided by 3 is 1.6 repeating. When you have a decimal that you need to round, we are always going to round, and then it says it right up here, to the nearest hundredth place. Okay? That is 2 decimal places. So it'd be 66, except for the third number is a 6. So it's going to change to $1 or 1.67 inches per day. So it rained about a little over 1.5 inches per day. Okay, one thing that I'm going to keep doing that you might notice about the ones that we've done so far is I just kept them in the same order. The only time you need to change it is for money, which happens on this next one. So it says 15 gallons of gas for $46.80. Whenever we are using money, we want to find the cost per item. In this case, the cost per gallon. So money always goes on top. So the $46.80 goes on top, and the 15 gallons goes on bottom. So I need to take out my calculator and do 46.8 divided by 15. That's 3.12, or $3.12 per gallon. All right, number 6, $11.55 for 3 pounds of meat. Now this one's already in order because the money is already on top, so I can put the 3 pounds of meat on the bottom. And LBS does stand for pounds, in case you forgot. And I'm going to go ahead and divide this in my calculator in just a second, but this is going to tell me the cost per pound. So 11.55 divided by 3. So it costs $3.85 per pound. Okay, let's keep going. The next one's also in order because the dollars is first. So we're going to divide $9.40 by 5 cans. So this is going to give us the cost per can of soup. Okay. 9.40 divided by 5. $1.88 per can of soup. Which cans of soup usually are fairly inexpensive. So that makes sense. But watch out, because number 8's just like number 5. It says 24 water bottles for $4.99. The money needs to go on top, and the water bottles need to go on bottom. And I'm just going to put 24 bottles, because you want to find out the cost per water bottle. So you just divide it. 4.99 divided by 24. Now, I get a pretty crazy decimal, 0.2079. This is going to round to 0.20, and then I check the third number, it's a 7. So that means instead of 20 cents, it's going to round to 21 cents. And bottles of water usually are very inexpensive. So 21 cents per bottle of water makes sense if you buy it in like a case. It's not as cheap if you buy it at like a gas station. Okay? And then the last one would be like somebody's pay. $160.55 in 13 hours. So this would be how much somebody was making at work. So since money goes first, I can leave that on top. And I'm going to write hours on the bottom. So I am finding out this person's pay per hour. 160.55 divided by 13 is $12.35. Okay, there are the first 9. Go ahead and make sure you have those written down before we move on to number 10 and 11. Alright, so number 10 and 11 both have tables, and each table is going to get you to find multiple unit rates. It's the same idea as we just did on the first 9, but you're going to be comparing different brands or different people or different companies, something like that. So, for example, number 10 says that this table shows the number of teachers and students at 4 different schools, and it wants to know which school has the fewest students per teacher. Remember what we wrote up above. The fraction bar replaces the word per. Which unit is on top of the fraction? Students, because it says students per teacher. So when we go to find our unit rate for all 3 or 4 of these, you have to do the students on top and the teachers on bottom. So 840 over 34, or 675 over 40, or 604 over 31, or 578 over 28. I'm just putting students on top and teachers on bottom. So you have to listen to the directions in a problem to make sure you're setting it up the correct direction. Also, if I divided these upside down, it would give me really small decimals that would be kind of hard to work with. Now we just have to divide them. 840 divided by 34. It's a crazy long decimal. It starts with 24.7, and then there's a 0. But since the third number is a 5, you're going to round that 0 up to 1. Then we do 675 divided by 40. That's 16.875. I think that is 16.87, but the 5 makes it round up to 16.88. 604 divided by 31 is the next one. 19.48, and since the third number is a 3, it stays 19.48. And then the very last one, 578 divided by 28. 20.64. Since the third number is a 2, it stays the same, 20.64. Then we have to go reread our question. It says, which school has the fewest students per teacher? That means that they have the most teachers per student. So the smallest class sizes, you might call it. Fewest, though, means the lowest. And which one of these is the lowest? Right here. So the answer to the actual question would be West High School. Okay, let's try the same idea but with number 11. Number 11, 4 students took road trips over spring break. Hey, spring break's in a week. Their gallons of gas used and miles driven are shown. Whose car gets the best gas mileage? Now, this problem doesn't say it exactly, but it is kind of hoping that we all know that gas mileage is miles per gallon. Or, some people call it MPG. So in this case, the per becomes the fraction bar, and miles is on top, gallons is on bottom. So I'm not saying the table is always going to go one way or the other. I'm just explaining how you decide. So miles goes on top, gallons goes on bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and write out all three, and then I'll pause and give you guys a second to jot it down. All right, there's all 4 of them for Jim, Angela, Dwight, and Phyllis. Yes, I am an Office fan. And we're going to divide them here in just a second. Okay, all it takes to do unit rate, guys, is a calculator to give you the decimal. 225 divided by 14. 16.07. Since the third number is a 1, it stays the same. 16.07. Miles per gallon. 312 divided by 15. 20.8. 315 divided by 10. 31.5. And 456 divided by 16. 28.5. Now, we need to compare these 3, but before you compare them, notice how some decimals have 2 numbers after the decimal point, and some of them only have 1. You don't want to leave a problem like that. So, if they only have 1 number, we need to go add a 0 at the end. Okay, just because that makes it easier to compare. So, if I compare just the 2 numbers out front, we have 16, 20, 31, and 28. And it wants to know the best gas mileage. Well, guess what? The best gas mileage is the highest, because you want the most miles out of the gallons. The further you can drive, the less gas you have to buy, the cheaper it is. Okay? So which one is the highest? 31.5, Dwight. So Dwight is getting 31 miles per gallon, and the other is only getting 28 or 30 or 20 or 16. So in this case, Dwight is our person who has the best gas mileage. All right, a couple problems left at the bottom. They are the exact same thing we just kind of did, and wants to determine which one is the better deal. Whenever we are talking about better deals, guys, that means you are wanting to pay the lowest amount of money per item. That's what good deals are, is we're saving money by spending the least amount. Okay? So all we have to do is divide them in our calculator. 229 divided by 64 and 6.99 divided by 120. And I'm going to go ahead and write the decimals to the side. 2.99 divided by 64 is 0.04, but that 6 makes it round to 0.05. So 5 cents per crayon. Crayola is 6.99 for 120 crayons. So divide by 120. That one's 0.05, but the 8 makes it round to 0.06. So that actually costs 6 cents per crayon. Which one's better? 5 cents or 6 cents per crayon? 5 cents. All right, now we've got a cereal one. Lucky Charms or Fruit Loops? Lucky Charms is 18 ounces for $3.96. Make sure you do 3.96 divided by 18 though, because when we're doing money problems, money must go on top. So 3.96 first divided by 18. That's 22 cents an ounce. Same thing for Fruit Loops. Money on top divided by how many ounces? So 2.47 divided by 10. 0.247. But that 7 makes it round to 0.25. Think of it as 24 cents. The 7 makes it round up to 25 cents. Which one costs more? Fruit Loops with 25 cents. If the Lucky Charms only cost 22, so Lucky Charms is our better deal. And then we have Viva and Sparkle. These are paper towels if you did not know. And again, just like on the Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops, it gives you the money part second. So I'm going to have to do $17.98 first over 594 square feet, which is how we measure paper towels because we want to know how much paper towel there is. And $6.83 over 346 square feet. Okay, so 17.98 divided by 594. 0.030. So 3 cents, and since the third number is a 0, it stays 3 cents. Sparkle is 6.83 divided by 346. 0.01, but the 9 makes it round up to 2 cents. So Sparkle is our cheaper one at 2 cents per square foot instead of 3. All right, so here's what the assignment looks like. The first 15 are like the first 9 on the assignment. 16 and 17 are like 10 and 11. And then you've got your examples of like grocery store items at the bottom to pick from as to which one is the better deal. Before I let you loose to get started on it, one thing. Number 16 is asking you who makes the most baskets per shot. So you're going to do baskets on top, shot on bottom. And you want to know who gets the most that time. And on 17, it says the least strokes per hole. So strokes is going to go on top of that one. And hole is going to go on bottom. And you want to know who has the least. Because in golf, you don't want more swings. All right, good luck, guys.